So for our test looks, this is some of the gear that we're going to be using today. Again, we've got the Nikon D800, backup Nikon D800. I've got the 85-14G lens from Nikon on here. Canon makes the same lens. You can also use a 50mm prime, although I don't recommend going that wide. Generally, you want a fairly long focal length and then get far away from your model. But obviously, that'll all depend on how big your studio is. So if you've got a smaller studio, you can also use like a 24-70 on this, but obviously don't use it too wide because then you start to distort some of the features on the model, like the legs and hands. So try and keep something like 50 plus as your focal length. Again, we've got a V-grip on here. We're going to be shooting a lot of vertical looks. Generally for test, it's all vertical. We don't really do much horizontal stuff because we're going to be shooting the entire body. If we shoot this horizontally, the model will be really small in the frame. And generally for printing for portfolio, which is what these images are going to be used for, we want vertical images. So definitely good to have a V-grip. Makes it nice and easy to recompose and hold your camera and everything. So worthwhile investment there. Pocket wizards on our camera to trigger our flashes, again going to a receiver that plugs into a sync port and it just fires our strobes. So you don't have to use a pocket wizard, you can use anything you want to trigger your strobes, even a sync cord. Over here I've got the Nikon 70-200, which we're using for a ton of stuff in this shoot. So as you can see, really useful lens to have when you're shooting fashion. It's nice that it goes down to 70. 70 is still a good focal length for doing full-length shots. Gets you a little bit closer than the 85, and it's nice to have the ability to zoom in and out between 70 and 200, because for these test looks, we do want to have some that are full length, some that are like 2/3 and 3/4 looks as well. So we can really quickly kind of zoom in without having to move around too much. So really nice lens to have. Again, a variety of lenses that you can use for this. There's no really set type of lens that is perfect for all this stuff. Again, we're shooting tethered for everything, so get a nice long tether cable. You're going to be moving around back and forth, so make sure you get the right tether cable for your camera system. Check whether it's USB 2 or USB 3 or even FireWire, and get a nice long one, at least like 14 feet. Just makes it a lot easier when you're kind of shifting around. In terms of light sources, really what we want is we want a nice soft light source. So we're going to be primarily using the Broncolor Para 220, which we can back off, gives us a really soft light source, really flattering light. We want that light to be soft because we don't want to spend a ton of time retouching these images. We want to spend maybe like 20 to 30 minutes on the image when it's done. Just get in, get out, produce a nice clean image. So the softer light source you use, the easier that's going to be essentially. So we can use a variety of things for that. It can be Elastolite 6x6 panel. We just fire the strobes into that. You can use another brand of Octa as well. Elinchrom makes a 7-foot Octa. They're probably about $400, $500 and works really well for this kind of look. So invest in a large light source. It just makes it that much easier to get the shot. Allows the model to move around a lot without the light changing too much on her. So really consistent, simple light to use. In addition to that, we're going to be using this guy over here, this V-flat. So it's a white V-flat. Just 2 pieces of foam core stuck together with tape in the middle. You can open it up, set it on the sides of your model, provide some nice fill light. That keeps us from having to have another strobe on the other side to fill in light on the model. If you find that, with the light that you have, there's still too much shadow density on one side, this is really great. You can bring it in and out depending on how much fill you want to provide. And you can also use it as a makeshift background. So if you've got a white and black one, black ones are actually really nice as backgrounds too. We will also be using this Para 88 over here. It's a slightly punchier light source. It's going to give a little bit more contrast in our image, but depending on the model you have, some models are very edgy and some models may be positioned as edgy models. So you don't want something that's going to be too soft. You want to keep that edgy look in them, in which case you're going to use a smaller diffuser like this and just create a more high contrast image. So that kind of just goes into what type of model we're going to be shooting. So that's all the gear here. Again, with lens, camera, really flexible. You can use a mirrorless for this. Just make sure that you have a good focal length. Focal length will be dictated by your studio size, and obviously the longer the focal length you can have, the better.